Welcome back, everybody. Well, I think it's pretty safe to say that at this point, I have covered Warner Brothers and specifically the Snyderverse more than any other topic. And, well, today is no exception. As you may have heard, earlier in March, it was announced that Warner Brothers was pushing back a lot of their movies. And in most of the cases, these movies are DC-related projects. Movies like Black Adam, the Aquaman and the Forbidden Kingdom, and probably most surprisingly, the Flash movie. Now, I say surprisingly because this movie is supposed to act as a soft reboot of the DCEU. It will basically strip away parts of the Snyderverse that Warner Brothers feels aren't working and gives them a chance to insert new things into this universe. Now, some of the explanations we have been given about the pushbacks is the impact of COVID on the film industry, which is valid. And then also just the sheer amount of time that it takes to do visual effects and the whole post-production process. And scheduling. These movies have to hit a certain mark so they can be released on a certain day that the studios feel will give them the best chance of earning money. But what if there is another reason? Now, again, I don't know anything. This is wild speculation. But what if the new Warner Brothers Discovery merger has intentions of restoring the Snyderverse? And these pushbacks are basically to give time for new shooting and script rewrites. Let us look into this further. The merger between Discovery and Warner Brothers is very much a big deal in Hollywood. This new super conglomerate is intended to give companies like Netflix and Disney a little worry. Of course, this new company, named the really disappointing Warner Brothers Discovery, will need what any other studio needs, and that is content, specifically top shelf content. Now, if you're not following along, that's because I just made up that term just now. At least I think I did. But in a nutshell, the top shelf content is a special show that one can build something around. My metaphor doesn't entirely make sense, but I think it's pretty close. The idea is the better the liquor, hopefully the better the drink. Of course, if you have a shitty bartender, even top shelf stuff can taste bad. Are Hollywood execs the bartenders in my little example? Sorry, I was kind of caught up in my own stuff. Let us look at Disney Plus. It launched and became successful in its early days by airing the first season of The Mandalorian. Now, granted, Disney Plus had a number of shows available along with all the Star Wars to that date, Marvel and Pixar movies being among them. But it was The Mandalorian that everybody wanted to see. At this point, Netflix has a large number of top shelf properties like Stranger Things, The Umbrella Academy, and even the Squid Games. Luckily for Netflix, they've been around so long that they can pretty much throw programs on their network and see what sticks. Of course, WB did try their hand in the streaming game with HBO Max back in 2020. They even had the announcement that the Snyder Cut would premiere on their service in March of 2021. Oddly enough, that was roughly a year ago. Sadly, the Zack Snyder Justice League didn't garner the numbers of new subscribers for HBO Max. Since then, the remnants of the Snyderverse have been kind of toiling away in obscurity. I know what you're asking. What makes this Discovery merger any different? Well, nothing concrete at the moment, just a few interesting developments. First being a tweet from the Flash star Ezra Miller in early February of 2022 about Ben Affleck's last foray as the Dark Knight. What is interesting about it is that one last time, referring to his role as Batman in the Flash movie, is underlined in red and "haha" is scribbled on the text. It's something kind of reminiscent of what the Joker would do. This tweet alone caused a number of websites to speculate if Big Ben's time as the Cape Crusader was truly coming to an end. Or would he don the cape and cowl once again? Next, DC's Twitter account changed their logo to incorporate the DC EU version of the DC Trinity. I am talking about Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman. And not just any Batman, but the Ben Affleck DC EU Batman. They also threw in Robert Pattinson for some reason. Recently, like a couple weeks ago from the time of this recording, journalist and YouTuber Grace Randolph tweeted about the events of the Flash movie. She mentioned that the 1989 Batman star Michael Keaton was still going to be the Batman of future DC films. But they leave the door open for a Ben Affleck return. Originally, the plan was to kill or remove Batfleck and install Michael Keaton as the new Batman. This Keaton Batman would be more similar to an older Batman Beyond style of Bruce Wayne. This version of the character is more of a mentor to a younger person taking the mantle of Batman. In Batman Beyond, the new Batman was a young Terry McGinnis. Keaton's Bruce Wayne will mentor Batgirl instead. Just a quick aside, there have been on-set photos of the DC EU actor J.K. Simmons returning for the role of Commissioner Jim Gordon. Of course, he is the father of Batgirl, Barbara Gordon. I find that interesting that they went with J.K. Simmons. Anyway, sadly, there's been no indication that Henry Cavill will return as the Man of Steel yet. Damn, he really should have done that cameo in the first Shazam movie. That's all I'm saying. But perhaps in time, it might come to pass. Maybe by the time of the Black Adam movie, perhaps? I only say this because both Dwayne Johnson and Cavill are represented by the same manager, Danny Garcia. Both Gal Gadot and Jason Momoa seem to be open to returning to their superhero roles, with Momoa doing a very funny cameo in the season finale of Peacemaker. Oh yeah, spoilers, if you hadn't seen it. But really, it's been a couple weeks now. Why haven't you seen it? Seriously, it's really good. Just watch it. You'll thank me later. Eagerly, the best sidekick ever. Okay, I'm done. So that's what's happening on the creative front. Let us talk about what's going on the fiscal end of things. As I had mentioned earlier, WarnerMedia, who is currently owned by AT&T, will be merging with the Discovery Channel. At first, this may sound like an odd merger until you account for David Zaslav, the current Discovery Inc. CEO. Zaslav held that position since 2007. The year after he was hired, Discovery started trading as a public company. 6 years, 2014, later, Discovery Inc. was listed as a Fortune 500 company. I don't know about you, but I kind of find this exciting to have Zaslav in charge of Warner Brothers. Now, so far, there is no word on where Zaslav stands on the Snyder Cut. But one thing that will probably happen is a massive reduction in the bloated WarnerMedia power structure. With Zaslav taking command of this mega company, They will need to generate cash flow immediately and slim down the staff since two companies will be merging. What better way to do that than get rid of a lot of the high-paid executives like Jason Kilar, current WarnerMedia CEO, and Ann Sarnoff, Warner Brothers CEO. Now take this with an extreme measure of salt, since it's been reported by a website that loves rumor. But apparently Zaslav wishes to streamline the entire company and, well, let's just say get rid of the old guard. This could have the effect of removing some of the barriers and possibly restore the Snyderverse. Of course, someone like the controversial CEO of DC Films, Walter Hamada, and Warner Films studio chairman, Toby Emmerich, may also be nervous about their job due to the allegations of creating a toxic work environment. In the case of Toby Emmerich, his contract will be ending at the end of 2022, but Hamada has signed a new contract extending him through 2023. This, of course, is thanks to Emmerich and with the blessing of Ann Sarnoff. Another interesting factor is that Zaslav wishes to be very hands-on with this new company and build relationships with the creative community. Hopefully Snyder would be one of the creatives that he talks with. Others have expressed an interest in joining DC Films, like Spider-Man and Evil Dead director Sam Raimi. He has said publicly that he would like to make a Batman movie. Could you imagine Sam Raimi directing Batfleck? I'm not saying it's going to happen. It probably won't, but GD, wouldn't that be cool? Well, as you can tell, this is in no way, shape, or form any sort of confirmation of a restoration of the Snyderverse. But at least there seems to be a possibility of clearing some of the executives that are actively preventing from having the Snyderverse continue. At this point, our hopes are with the incoming CEO of the new Warner Brothers Discovery, David Zaslav. Well, with any luck, our hopes will be rewarded with new Snyderverse projects. But those are just my opinions, and I would love to hear yours. Feel free to express yourself in my comments. Also, if you dig my stuff, give a like, give a sub, whatever you want to do. And as always, fare thee well, my friends, and take care. Cue the music.